realized it was just a dream, but felt an overwhelming sense of urgency. He saw a nurse attending to the woman and rushed over, fearing the worst. She reassured him that the woman was responding well to treatment. Zayn thanked her, relieved it was only a nightmare. He sat back, trying to shake off the lingering sadness of the dream. The dream had felt so real, and Zayn wondered if it had any connection to the woman and her baby. He couldn't shake the image of the innocent child from his mind, but reminded himself it was just a product of his imagination and the stress of the day. Yet, the sadness lingered, a haunting echo of his fear for the vulnerable mother and the child in his care.
What an innocent child. He is just a victim of circumstance. But what about the mother? Maybe she died during delivery. He was so carried away with thoughts of the baby that he forgot what brought him to the hospital. He was distracted by a nurse who came to check on the woman. He quickly stood up when he saw the nurse. "How is she now?" he asked. "Oh, are you awake? She is responding to treatment," said the nurse. "What about the baby?" "The baby is alright. What does he eat?" "We fed him with his mother's breast," the nurse replied. "How?" he asked, puzzled, knowing the woman was unconscious. "It's our duty to ensure the baby eats, and we fed him with his mother's breast. In less than no time, we will feed him again," she explained. "Oh, thank you very much for taking care of them. We came from a far remote village and were too tired to help," Zayn explained. "Don't worry, sir. This is our work. Just have your rest. She will be much stronger by dawn." "Please, where can I get water to wash?" Zayn asked. "This is a private ward. Everything you need is in here. That's the bathroom over there." She pointed at the door. "The tap is up and running." "Thank you very much," Zayn said as he pulled the bucket from under the bed. He wanted to wash his t-shirt, which was used to wrap the baby, and his singlet and trousers, which had blood stains. He remembered the woman's delivery wrapper, which he had carefully put in a separate section of his bag. He opened his bag, and there was a very bad smell coming from it. He quickly zipped up the bag. He brought out all his other items, except his clothes, because he had to wear them after taking his bed. He went to the bathroom, washed both the clothes and his bag. He took his bed and changed into his pet clothes. "I have never seen a thing like this," he said to himself. "I used to hear women lose blood during childbirth, but I never knew they used to lose so much blood. I have 3 wives, but I have never seen a drop of blood from any of them during childbirth, or even witnessed where the clothes are being washed. But look at me, washing the childbirth clothes of a strange woman filled with so much blood. The native nurses who deliver my wife's children help to do the washing in a segregated place." He shrugged his shoulder. "Women are suffering in childbirth, really." Zayn observed his time, and it was 2 a.m. "I need to go back to bed," he said to himself as he walked up to check on the woman and her baby. He carefully observed the woman, and for the very first time noticed she was very fair and pretty. He looked at the baby and immediately remembered the baby in his dream. "Could there be a connection between this baby and the baby I saw in my dream?" he mumbled to himself. Zayn was filled with thoughts of the recent occurrences that he forgot the journey that was facing him. He went back to bed and lay down again to sleep. In the morning, the nurse had fed the baby very early. The woman was awake, better and stronger than yesterday, but she couldn't talk yet. She was just giving signs and signals with her hand, her mouth opening and closing. She waved her greetings at Zayn when he woke up. Zayn sat up and returned her wave. "How are you today?" asked Zayn. She nodded her head as a sign that she was fine. "Don't worry, you will be okay soon," said Zayn. She nodded her head again. Zayn bent his head and began to wonder how long it would take this woman to recover and be able to identify herself. "My family will be expecting my return today. What am I going to do now? But wait, oh, this woman hasn't eaten since yesterday," he said to himself. He stood up and went to meet the nurses. "Good morning, nurse," Zayn greeted. "Good morning, sir." "Has she been able to eat anything?" he asked. "Breakfast is served by 7 a.m. It's almost time. They will soon attend to her," said one of the nurses. Before Zayn got back to their private ward, she had already been served a cup of tea and some slices of bread with fried egg. She beckoned to Zayn to come and join her. "Thank you very much. Go ahead and eat," Zayn said. He sat on his bed and began to think, "How am I sure this woman is not dumb by nature? How would I be able to identify her husband and family since she can't express herself? Can she find her way if I take her back to the spot where I picked her from? Her husband and family would be looking for her seriously. The forest was at the center boundary of 4 towns. Those towns had access to the bushes, but none could claim ownership because it was an evil forest. The forest was where those towns and other towns far and near threw abominable things and people who committed abominations or had abominable disease. People with bellies that suddenly began to increase outrageously is an abominable disease in the land. They were thrown there. Also, people who practice witchcraft were tied and thrown far into the forest, where wild animals devoured their remains. Even twins and children who grew teeth in the womb were considered abomination. He was still thinking when the nurses came in to carry the baby. "We want to birth the baby," said one of the nurses. "It's all right," responded Zayn. One carried the baby while the other picked up the baby's clothes and followed her. A few minutes later, they brought back the baby and woke her mother to feed her. They helped her to sit up. One held her while the other adjusted the bed settings to make her relax. They ensured the baby was comfortable as the mother began to feed her. "Can you hold her now?" one of the nurses asked. She nodded her head. "Okay, please hold him firmly," the nurse said, standing by to watch her feed the baby. A few minutes later, the baby was gone. The nurse carried the baby and laid her in the cradle, then helped the woman lie down and readjusted the bed settings. Zayn had been avoiding eye contact with the woman, who kept gazing at him while feeding her baby. Who knows what is going on in her mind now, he thought, as he moved his gaze away from her. He sighed, wiped his face, and lay down facing the ceiling. "I am going to leave this woman here and continue with my journey. I will come back later for her bills," he murmured to himself. He stood up and went to talk with the nurses. "I need permission to go on an emergency trip to Umueri," he said. "Are you coming back today?" asked one of the nurses. "I am not sure about today, but definitely by tomorrow." "Okay, hold on, sir. We will give you feedback shortly." She stood up and left, returning later with a booklet in her hand. She handed it over to the head nurse, who opened it to read. "Sir, you have to deposit the sum of 5,000 before going, and also leave some money with the woman in case there is a need to buy any baby item." "It's all right," Zayn said, reaching into his pocket and pulled out some money. He handed over 5,500 to her. "Sir, please sign here." She pointed to a line in the receipt booklet, and he signed. "Go well, sir. Don't worry about your wife. We will take good care of her." "Thank you. I am grateful," said Zayn. He returned to the private ward, and the woman was asleep again. "Thank goodness she is asleep. I can live without having to explain myself," he said. He picked up his bag and left his wet clothes and quietly closed the door. Out in the street, Zayn flagged down a taxi. "Can you take me to a commercial motor park where I can find a car going to Umueri?" "Yes, come in," said the driver. He entered and the car zoomed off. At the commercial motor park, he boarded a bus to Umueri. Umueri was a 3-hour journey from Onitsha. When he arrived at the bus stop, he began to ask for the directions to the oracle. It took him 2 hours on foot. Upon arrival, the chief priest assistant told him that the oracle doesn't speak on Eke days. Zayn, being ignorant of this, tried to explain himself to the oracle assistant, but the oracle assistant couldn't help him. He was still explaining to Zayn that oracle can never speak on Eke days when the chief priest asked him to allow Zayn in. The chief priest began to make some enchantments. Oracle doesn't speak on Eke days. He chanted several songs before announcing, "The gods have decided to grant you favor." He then presented a wooden tray to Zayn, who opened his bag, took out a parcelled kola nut, and placed it on the tray. The chief priest resumed chanting and suddenly stopped. "Son, you must go home. I can't fight the battle of the gods. My role is to avoid standing in their way. Their eyes are on your family. Among your children, you have a gifted child. Treat that child with care and raise her in truth. You are favored by the gods." "That's exactly why I came," Zayn responded. "My wife had a dream where 2 men were fighting over one of my children." The chief priest continued to chant again, and when he stopped, he turned to Zayn. "Son, you must go home. I can't help you. The battle is the battle of gods. Do not dare to interfere in the matters concerning the gods. My only advice to you is to listen to your child and also listen to your heart. The gods are with you." Confused and seeking further guidance, Zayn asked what he should do. The chief priest began to chant again, but the oracle did not speak. He advised him to go home Listen to the child and seek understanding in every wisdom. Like I said, do not interfere with matters that concern the gods. Go home, the gods. Then paid his respect to the priest and left, pondering the priest's words. Who are these gods everyone talks about? The gods are happy with me. You are favored by the gods. But why would they fight over my family? I am confused. What should I do now? He asked aloud. It was already nightfall, and Zayn had a long way to go. He met a man on his way. Good evening, sir, he greeted. Good evening, the man replied. Do you have a guest house in this community? I am a stranger and came to consult the oracle, but couldn't finish on time. No, we don't have guest house here. Where are you from? The man asked. I came from Onitsha. Hey, Onitsha is more than 5 hours from here, and it's almost nightfall. Hurry to get to the bus stop first. You might be lucky to find a bus to the commercial motor park. It will be more convenient to sleep in a motor park than to sleep on a pathway, the man advised. Alright, sir, Zayn said, increasing his pace. As he walked, he heard the sound of an approaching vehicle. It was dark, and the pathway was bushy but motorable. He flew down the motor park, a flashy jeep, but the driver didn't stop. The owner must be a very rich man, Zayn thought. A few minutes later, another car came speeding with its full headlights on. Zayn flagged it down, but the driver only honked and continued driving. Disappointed, he wondered about the chief priest's words. The gods are with you. The priest's words echoed in his mind. If the gods are with me, why won't they make this car stop for me? Because you don't know what the gods have in mind for you, a voice replied. Zayn couldn't bother to look for who spoke to him because he has been familiar with this invisible voice. Whatever they have in mind, my safety should be their priority, he sighed, continuing in his hurried walk. A few moments later, he heard a sound growing louder as he approached. He didn't bother to check it out, focused on getting to the motor park before it got too dark. Why not check out that sound? The voice suggested again. No, I can't. Whatever it is, it can sort out itself. It's already dark. Zayn kept hearing the sound fading and fading as he walked on, but Zayn did not respond. This place is strange to have such a sound. Don't you think so? The voice persisted, but Zayn didn't respond. You need to follow your heart, the voice urged. Deep down in his heart, he wanted to know what the sound is all about, but he kept pushing the thought away. This is nightfall. I can't do otherwise, he insisted, moving on. He had gone a long distance when he suddenly remembered the chief priest's word. Listen to her and listen to your heart. He quickly turned and ran back to the source of the noise. It was dark and he didn't have a flashlight, but he could see a little. He found the jeep that had refused to stop for him. Oh, it ran into the bush, he said. But why can't the driver come out and find the solution? The engine was running and the windows were closed with the air conditioner on. He peered through the window and saw the driver bent face down on the steering wheel. He tried to open the door, but it was locked. He knocked hard several times, hoping the driver would respond, but the man didn't move. If you are followed to this point, kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so that you will know when we publish the next part.